Hello everyone, I'm the Shades, and welcome again to Shades' Soapbox. So today we're going to be talking about parenting, and this is something I obviously know quite a bit about because I'm a parent of two wonderful children myself. However, this is more about parenting when it comes to entertainment medium, and a huge problem that has been going on for decades. Parent groups have been constantly complaining to television producers and studios about the content that their children are exposed to. Don't get me wrong. In many ways, I understand the need to have parent groups to protect children from getting exposed to certain unnecessary material. You know, I certainly do not want my 5-year-old son seeing a person getting torn limb from limb with all the blood and guts and all that kind of stuff. And I don't certainly want them getting exposed to hardcore pornography. I get that. There's nothing wrong with wanting to make sure that doesn't happen. But there comes a point where you have to go, does this really need to be censored? Does our kid really not need to be exposed to this? I'm gonna be honest. There's a lot of television out there that is become very dumbed down, very super kid friendly for no good reason. A lot of our favorite shows growing up had moments of violence and even a slight sprinkle of sexuality in it. You know, nothing too gratuitous. Think Batman the Animated Series. You know, Batman, there was some rough and tumble violence, and I got two names for you. Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy. Tell me there wasn't some fan service in those shows. Come on. Be honest with us. And honestly, I don't think it really did any harm to me growing up. If anything, it did me a lot of good. Why is it these parent groups have to go out of their way to make sure that stuff like that does not get aired on children's television? Now, when I say children's television, I'm talking from the ages of like 7 and up. Anything younger than that, we're talking Nick Jr. levels, and that's a different topic altogether. And quite frankly, I could get into that and another thing, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about young adults and teenagers who want to watch quality television. And I'm gonna be honest, I would rather my kid watch something like Batman the Animated Series where there's a lot of violence and a little bit of sexuality, as opposed to something like all these goddamn Nickelodeon sitcoms which are so fucking cheesy and stupid. It's not even funny. I would rather my child be watching Power Rangers than SpongeBob. And that's not just the Power Rangers fan in me talking here. I would rather have my child watch something with some good lessons and a little bit of violence, mainly in self-defense, I might add, than to have something like SpongeBob, which is just stupid, annoying bullshit that in many ways teaches bad lessons, something I've talked about in the past. Honestly, parent groups really need to stop. They need to learn where the line actually is and decide for themselves whether or not this is really worth going out of your way to complain about. I'm not saying that certain levels of violence and sexuality shouldn't be censored. When it comes to programming aimed at younger audiences, there is a level that is too far. And if something crosses that line, I am more than willing to join in the protest against the show. You have to discern between what is gratuitous and what is necessary. Even death can be shown to young audiences. And I mean that sincerely. Obviously, we do not need to have a gratuitous, bloody, gory death scene in children's television. But the concept of death itself is perfectly fine to expose to kids. And in fact, I think it's actually kind of necessary. We need to have our kids understand the concept of death at a pretty decent age. And I know this because my daughter, just a couple years ago, my grandmother passed away. And it was a very heart-wrenching time for my daughter. She still has troubles with it to this day, but when it first happened, she was having nightmares. It was something really serious. I think exposing children to at least a small level of that concept is not only acceptable, but necessary. They need to understand that life is precious because it can end at any time. Again, we're not talking 5 and under. They wouldn't understand it even if you did show it to them. We're talking slightly more mature. Kids are smarter than you give them credit for. And I know this because my daughter is super fucking smart. She is a genius sometimes. She even outsmarts us. She outsmarts me and Lady K on many occasions. Now, I'm not even kidding. So she can handle it. As I mentioned last episode, my daughter watches stuff from Five Nights at Freddy's, and to answer a certain comment about that, the game itself is not uber violent, but I'm talking YouTube videos involving Five Nights at Freddy's. I'm talking the fan videos, which can get pretty bloody. And my daughter can handle it rather well, to the point where she enjoys it. But here's how you mitigate any potential problems with that, folks. And it's real simple. Be a good fucking parent. You teach them. You use those videos as a teaching tool. Again, I make sure she doesn't watch anything too gratuitous. If I see something that goes over the top, I am more than willing to tell her to cut it off. And she understands why I say that. Because I don't just tell her she can't watch something. I explain to her why she can't watch something. If it's too violent, too excessive swearing, sexuality, anything that I honestly feel might be too much for her to handle at that time, I tell her as such. I don't go into great detail, but I will explain to her there are things in this video that you are just not ready to watch yet. And if I can, I will slip in a little bit of information as to why. But I give her just enough so that she understands she's not ready to handle it yet. And you know what? She accepts that. She understands that I'm just trying to be a good parent. She's not mad at me for it. She doesn't hate me for it, because I'm pretty lenient about what she watches. But I also use what she watches as an opportunity to teach her about the world. It's not that hard to do, folks. You just have to be an attentive parent. And I wouldn't even call myself the greatest parent. I have plenty of flaws in me as a parent. But when it comes to teaching my daughter about the things she watches, I'd say I'm pretty good at it. It's not that hard to do. And by doing that, I allow her to experience things that a lot of kids never get the opportunity to. The world is a very weird, scary place. So they need to be exposed to that weirdness to know that once you know what it is, it's really not that bad. It's as simple as that, folks. There's all there is to it. Anyway, that's going to do it for me here today, folks. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully, let me know what you guys think about parent groups and about censorship in television down in the comments down below. And if you have any suggestions for any topics you'd like for me to discuss, post them down there as well. If I like something, I'll consider it. Also, thank you to my Patreon supporter, Solar Star, for your continued support. If you guys are interested in supporting me on Patreon, links will be available in the description down below and at the end card of this video. So make sure you click on that and show me some love. Of course, thank you to Raktai for your continued donations. Always appreciate it, my friend. In the meantime, I want to thank you guys for joining me here on the Soapbox. I'm the Shades. We'll see you guys next time. Rock on!